Hello and welcome to the Election Corner on One Man Think Tank. Today, I just want to talk to you about the Graham-Harrison race in South Carolina. Now, for those of you who don't know, Lindsey Graham is the long-term Republican incumbent for the seat, while Jaime Harrison is running against him. For a very long time, most people considered this state not at all in any way contested. While on the other hand, but now, it is probably one of the closest races in the country. In the sense of, there are some that have gone fully blue, some that are fully red, but it is on the line. And I just learned this. Morning Consult has actually been doing a tracking poll for the state since about late July, which I really wish I had known about. But it gives us a very good overview of what's happening in South Carolina, and also I'd like to take this video opportunity to also talk about the new South that seems to be birthed for the Democratic Party and the country. So, right here we have their tracking poll numbers. Now, they release their tracking poll every 9 days, roughly. So this is only the one up to 9/20. Unfortunately, I'm releasing this on 9/28. Due to the fact tomorrow is the debate, and I'm going to be releasing a video on that tomorrow. But the bold lines are the presidential candidates, while the dotted lines are the Senate candidates. And if you notice, Lindsey Graham's popularity has pretty steadily tracked with Donald Trump's, except right here when Jaime Harrison really started to pick up some steam. There's a gap that widened just about here, just beginning of August. This is when Jaime Harrison really started his campaign and started to get some name recognition. So you can see while Lindsey Graham is tracking with Trump, there's about a 5-point difference here. And in the current session, about a 5-point difference here. While Jaime Harrison has almost perfectly tracked with Biden, who's been able to hold a mid-40s. Now, these numbers do change depending on which pollster you're using, but it is basically accepted right now. It is basically a tie with an edge towards Lindsey Graham. And as you can see, there are points when Jaime Harrison overtakes Lindsey Graham. Now, I will say, most likely on Election Day, Jaime Harrison doesn't win. But something this Morning Consult doesn't keep in mind is the fact there are third-party candidates. I know there's a Constitution candidate, but there might also be a Libertarian candidate, which are known for siphoning votes from Lindsey Graham. Not the Republican Party. They run them at the presidential level, too, and they don't win. Or act as a splitter. But for Lindsey Graham, they do. Because there's a strong number of Republicans who are very conservative who view Lindsey Graham as too moderate. This is an image he has pushed for, at this point, over a decade now. Except very recently, he's gone hard conservative to try and win the Trump base. But the old conservatives, they don't believe him. And now he's isolated out suburban moderates as well, who were voting Republican for one or two issues. But since there's a presidential election going on, this isn't a midterm, where the Senate is the highest race contested, the presidency is. They can go and vote their anti-abortion vote for Trump, and then go, well, Lindsey's just too conservative now, so I'm gonna vote for so I'm not gonna vote, or I'm gonna vote Libertarian, or, no, he's not conservative enough, so I'm going with the Constitution Party. That could be what kills Graham in the state. And if we go down, it shows here, he has some of the weakest support amongst Republican voters when it comes to base votes. Because as you can see, in many of these races, which are honestly not contested, we're talking Michigan, Kentucky, Texas is kind of, but this is just looking like it's going to be a low turnout election. Or not low turnout. A lot of people are undecided until they show up, but Georgia, Alabama, Colorado, the only states where Republicans have less support are ones where the Democrats are clear and away ahead, such as North Carolina and Arizona. But Lindsey Graham is really doing quite poorly. He actually has the second highest percentage of GOP voters turning against him, according to this poll, after Arizona, and Martha McSally, the Republican incumbent, is incredibly bad as a candidate. She is guaranteed to lose her seat, essentially. But Lindsey Graham is almost losing 10% of Republicans. That's not how you keep your seat. And overall, there's no more graphs or anything down here, but you can find the tracking poll pretty easily if you go to Morning Consult's website. Lindsey Graham and what's happening to him is representative of what's happening with the South in general. We've seen it happen with Virginia. Virginia was kind of the prototype of this, where Democrats win at the statewide level, then they start winning at the local level, and then they take over the state house and state senate, repeal all the voter suppression, and then there's a big wave that suddenly flips the state seemingly permanently blue, at the very least, away from the current standpoint of the current Republican Party. Same thing is happening in the Southwest. Arizona seems to be going that way really rapidly. But I want to focus on the South particularly. So this is the area, basically take that line below Virginia over Tennessee down and east of Texas. Throw Kentucky in there too. The South is changing. This is partially due to the fact that many African Americans are returning to their historical southern roots after the Great Migration and becoming a stronger voting bloc there. Immigration plays a role, and the fact that white suburbanites, who have typically been the linchpin of the Republican backbone, that's a metaphor for you, have been the keystone in the Republican arch, there you go, are now, and that's what these voters mostly are, the ones who are turning away, are now becoming social voters. They've been social voters. They've been usually sort of a bit anti-immigration, anti-abortion, and anti-LGBTQ, anti-transgender, strong law enforcement type thing. But now that these things are becoming normalized, so homosexuality, transgenderism, immigration, all that, literally, I saw a fantastic comment on one of my videos about Texas, and one of the biggest things immigration does, especially immigration where the immigrants, now that we're in second generation too, where many of them are entering the middle class, it's causing a direct set of interactions where formerly these very white, pure suburbs are now being, quote-unquote, infiltrated by the various immigrant communities, and people are seeing, oh, this doesn't destroy society. I like my neighbor. Oh, I'd feel really bad if you were deported, type thing. You know, basic human kindness. And now there's and this is causing the change as well. That's the other thing pushing these voters into the sort of, maybe, well, I'm a Republican, but I'm a Republican with values type of thing, or I'm only a fiscal conservative. Because of this, social issues become more important. And the GOP has remained in the same platform they've had since before Obergefell v. Hodges, which was the decision which legalized gay marriage, which is gays are evil, transgenders are evil, immigrants are evil, everyone we dislike is evil, and that's losing them votes. They didn't move with the times. They released a whole document I'd love to make a video on at some point called the Growth and Opportunity Project, GOP for short, after Mitt Romney got his ass kicked in 2012. And it detailed, okay, we need to basically put out an immigration plan that says we're going to be pro-immigration, we're going to be pro-LGBTQ rights, but we can still go after the transgenders pretty hard. And focus on abortion as well. And they didn't do that, and now they're losing votes. So now you're seeing the creation of a new South, which is basically a massive tent Democratic Party, where you have progressives who have nowhere else to go, white suburban moderates who were the backbone of the Democratic Party in the South, but are now absorbing some of the more middle-of-the-road Republican voters, the African American and immigrant communities, and people of color who are, making less than $200,000 a year. And the candidates reflect this. Beto O'Rourke is a perfect example of that suburban, white, moderate Old South vote, as is basically every statewide politician in Virginia. As well as many of the GOP, as well as many of the governors for the Democrats. Then you have the Senate candidates who are running, like Jaime Harrison, who's representing this new black vote. They've actually won most of the House seats for the Democrats in the South. And that is the change we're seeing. We're seeing the birth of a new South. And as Republicans kind of win the Rust Belt, I've made this case before, the Rust Belt wasn't getting more red, it just, there was higher GOP turnout. And now we're seeing it turn back hardcore blue. If the Republicans lose the South, it doesn't matter if they take every Rust Belt state, including Illinois. They can't win. If you win the Northeast, the Southwest, and the West Coast, you win the nation. And Democrats are on track to, by 2024, if trends remain, and the Republicans continue to be immobile, to win the Northeast, the South, the Rust Belt, the Southeast, the West Coast, everyone out in the Pacific, including Alaska. And you know what? Throw in part of Nebraska there. That is the future of the country. And some of you will be happy, some of you will be sad, and many of you will let me know in the comments down below. So with all that being said, if you like the video, please leave a like and a comment down below. Please tell me how mad you are about my prediction. If you want to see more from the channel, click the subscribe button and the notification bell so you can be alerted when new content comes out. If you want to hear more from me outside of YouTube, I have a Twitter, at OneManThinkTan1, the Roman numeral. You can find that in the link in the description below. Otherwise, most importantly, have a wonderful day.